Thank you so much. Good morning. Our guest today is Susan Hillgren. She's a native of Port Angeles, born, raised, and educated here. And about 12 years ago, Susan and Pam created TAFY, the answer for youth. And then 4 years ago, and I believe this was to help support her efforts, the Sprouting Hope Greenhouse was started when TAFY was able to purchase Rose's nursery after a large donation from their volunteer, Martin Shaughnessy. Wayne Rodell, and we know him well, is the visionary for the greenhouse, and TAFY is currently operated totally by volunteers. So thank you, Susan. I'm going to turn it over to you and looking forward to hear where you're going. It's so nice to drive by and see the plants and all your efforts.
Susan, you're on mute.
Oh, I guess you want to hear me. Thank you for inviting me. It's always nice to share with what we're doing, because what we're doing often scares people and it confuses them, and they're not quite sure why we do what we do. And so hopefully you walk away today with a little bit more understanding of what we do. So we are at Rose's Nursery, which has been absolutely wonderful there. So TAFY has 20 volunteers that have been pretty steady. A few of them have had to take the year off because they're waiting to get their shots. But I counted up, and of the 20 volunteers we have, they average 6 years that they've been with TAFY. So that's why TAFY works. TAFY works because the same people have been there, because they're in their element, just like Susan's in her element here. And we love what we do. So as you guys know, what TAFY does, it is a drop-in center for homeless up to the age of 35. And again, if you've ever worked with addicts, and they're all active addicts, they're emotionally 13. And so we didn't change the name. They're youth because that's what our name is, and emotionally they're there. So we have the regular program where they walk in. And so just as an example, there's a girl and she lives on the street. So on a Wednesday at 3 o'clock, she's going to come to TAFY. Now with new COVID changes, we have a table outside. They've got our masks on it. They have to put a mask on. They walk in, they sanitize their hands. They then have to sign in. Then they sit down, they get their food. We have lots of good hot food for them. They'll get a request form. And on that request form, they can ask for all of the supplies that we have in the back. And in the back, we have just lots of file cabinets full of everything they could possibly need. We have flashlights, boxer shorts, shampoos, tampons, handy wipes. They don't use some toilet paper, but most of them get handy wipes because there's no bathrooms out there. And so toilet paper doesn't work very well without a bathroom. So, so when they come in, they ask for these things. And so we put these things in a bag, and then they're going to sign up and request a shower. And we can usually do about 8 or 9 showers a day if everybody's respectful of the other person and takes a quick, short shower, because there isn't too many places in town that they can even get a shower. So if they're living on the street and they need a tent, every 60 days they can get a new tent unless somebody slashes their tent, and then we can get another one. So they get tents and sleeping bags, tarps, lots of propane cans I go through because that's what they're using for heat and that's what they're using to cook in. And so that we go through a lot of that, and I wish we could figure out a way to refill the little cans, because $3.50 a piece. They're expensive. So if we they go upstairs into the clothes closet, they have winter coats up there, shoes, boots, lots of blankets, lots of towels, and so they can go up there and get those. Most of their clothes just get dirty, and so they can actually do the laundry also. And so they can probably do about 3 different loads of laundry. We don't try to commingle laundry because they don't like that. So they also, especially with COVID, they haven't been able to get down and get any licenses or IDs or any of those things. And so we will let them go in the computer room and into the office, and we have to do it, but we can go online. And it's been real easy for them to just put in their information, put in for a lost ID. We just click it with our debit card and pay for it. And we will do that for any age. We've done it for a lot of people. DSHS calls and says, you know, can you do this? And it doesn't matter. It's only $10. You know, I want people to have ID. They don't want to, you know, they can't get services without IDs. So also we do some birth certificates. We used to do a lot of food cards when they were getting jobs at the Jack in the Box and stuff, but they don't do that as much. So let's see what else. We do limit the kids who come in. You can only come in, we have 10 to 12 inside with just a few volunteers. So when it's really cold outside, it's hard because we have to make them stand at the door and wait for somebody to leave, or we're rushing somebody. And that really is their only warm place during the day. And so, because even at Salvation Army, they're not allowed to come in yet. They have to stand at the door, if you've noticed, and get their food and sit outside. So for some of them, TAFY 4 days a week is the only warm place they have. We do have a STAR program, is what it is. And upstairs, there's a complete housing unit. And the county gave us money to put in an alarm system and a fire system so we could actually put people upstairs. And we can have 3 to 4 men living that are clean and sober, and they have to come out of an inpatient or out of the jail. They can't just come off the street. They have to be in an active program. They've got to do volunteer. They got to get a part-time job. And we're kind of a stopgap if they can't go into an Oxford. Some people have histories that don't let them go into Oxford. So they just need a place so they can finally get on their feet and then maybe get a full-time job and be able to get out and get on their own. And that has just been a real, we've kept that full. Some of the guys can't do it. You know, they do a couple of weeks and just go back out and they leave, and that's okay. It opens up another bed for somebody else. We have a med room, a first aid room, because Pam is a critical care nurse, and taking care of people's owies is always her fun thing to do. And so we also have an extra bed in that room. It's just a separate room. And we've been letting a gentleman who's got some mental health issues. I think he's 30. His family's given up on him, and real fragile individual, couldn't live on the streets. It just wasn't working for him. So he's clean and sober, waiting to get to an inpatient mental health place, co-occurring. And so he's been up there. He's real quiet. He's not invasive. And so we're just letting him stay there. And then in the clothes closet, I've got a gentleman who's finally clean and sober, who ran the streets here for many years. He lives in Seattle, but he has children here that he has to visit, and he has no place to stay. So we throw a cot up in the closet upstairs, and he's able to stay on the weekends up there because he doesn't have money, still wants to see his kids. So TAFY gets to be really flexible, and kind of, if you're following the rules and you're staying clean and sober upstairs, then we'll make it work for you, because that's what's really, really important. While the rest of the kids who are downstairs that come in, they are all active addicts. Now, tell you the best thing that's happened to Port Angeles is the rediscovery program. If you haven't heard of it, you need to. It's where the police department works with the the VMO clinic, OPCC, and they have 5 young ladies who are now working on the streets with homeless clients and people who have issues. So if we have somebody walk in, and Susan is always saying, are you ready to get clean yet? Are you ready to get clean yet? Because I know that's the answer. So finally they come in and they say, I'm done. I'm ready. I want to get clean. I'm quit. I can call the phone number, and probably within 10 minutes, I've got somebody coming to TAFY who's sitting down with them. They're talking with them. They're taking them by the hand. They're taking them, whether it's to the doctor or to go to Reflections or Cedar Grove or Qualum Counseling for an assessment. They are the handoff for me. So it is so nice that is a connection point, and they stay on them. They have a car, they can transport them, they can get them to treatment, they can get them back from treatment. It is huge. It's what we've needed and what everybody needs is that connector person. Because I'm doing my job, I'm doing as fast and as much as I can, but I can't be out there. I can't be taking people places when I need to be at TAFY. And so that rediscovery is just an absolutely rocking program. So kudos to whoever figured it out. So not that we don't need, we need housing. We need, absolutely, we do. And you guys got to put your brains together to figure out some small, those little sheds where some of these people can live, because a 30-year homeless, and I'll guarantee you've probably got 400 homeless out there anytime you've got it. A third of them are clean and sober. They're living in cars, they're living in garages, they have jobs. They could have jobs if they had a place to take a shower on a regular basis. So a third of them. So you've probably got 150 people out there needing a safe place to live that aren't going to be drinking and drugging and causing problems. You got another third of them out there that are mental health. They need stability. They need a place where people can watch them. A place they can get their medication. Probably they can't handle their own medication. So they need a group that's small enough that can help manage them. So then you only have a third of them that are active addicts that all the rest of us can help deal with. And all of the addicts out there, they all want to get clean. If they tell you they're not wanting to, they really do. They really do. They just don't know how to do it. And it makes it really, really difficult because we all want to see them succeed. So it's kind of tough to see them. I had to talk with that the young man who's staying upstairs. I called his dad, and his dad said, I don't want to have anything to do with him anymore. And it's like, I said, I know that's how you feel, but there are kids. You know, we created the monster. Now we have to live at the zoo. You know, I don't know what happened to that young boy in his life. But something happened. Something happened. It's untreated trauma, which causes us all to pick up our addictions, whether it's gambling or shopping or drugs. There's something in us that's causing us to go that way. And I want you guys, when you look at people out there, don't look at the outside. Look at what their hearts are breaking. They don't have family. They don't have friends. They have nothing. And there's reasons. They didn't just decide that. There's real reasons why they're breaking. And we just have to come alongside of them and love them until they can love themselves. And it doesn't matter what age they are at all. We all need to have somebody just come alongside and say, I'm here for you. And that's what TAFY does. There's no rules or regulations of if you get clean or if you don't get clean. We're just going to feed you and give you some clothes and some shower and let you know we are here. You know, we're just here. You need us or not. And I was talking to a lady the other day who works at the jail. She came in to get somebody's mail. And she said, Susan, I've never met you before, but I sure know you because there's a lot of guys that go down into the jail and they say, you call Susan, she's my mom, she'll tell you. And it's like, oh dear, you know, they all think I'm their mom because they don't have one, you know, and that's sad. It's sad to not have somebody in your corner, somebody that you can call. I've got lots of kids we have now that one thing we're doing, which is new this year, is tutoring. We have found that a lot of our clean and sober clients still are pretty dysfunctional. And so they don't have the ability to parent along with have a job and do their dishes, and they just don't see it. So we were noticing that their kids were definitely falling through the cracks. They didn't have their Chromebooks. They didn't have anybody to do their stuff with them. And so we've got four volunteers now that we're paying to work with 6 or 7, I think 7 now, little kids ages 5 through 10 that were absolutely failing school. And it's been an expense that we kind of didn't realize we were going to have. But some of the one tutor is $16, one is $18, one is $30. But it's kind of like it doesn't matter what the cost is. We're going to keep them from failing. So Pam actually tutors 2 full days with one young girl who's 9 years old. at her house. I have a tutor who's a regular retired teacher that comes to TAFY, and he works with a couple of young kids. And you know, their parents cannot do second grade work. So that's a huge issue. Be grateful we have a school system when they get going that is teaching these kids, because I think if you looked into it, you'd find out there's a lot of young kids in schools with parents who are not capable of helping them. And that then in turn, in 5 years, that's the kid who's out on the street. So I think we need to figure out some better prevention and intervention strategies, or in 5 years, that's exactly what you're going to have, is those kids right out there, because the parents can't see it. And the parents are eating bad food. They're feeding the kids bad food, so their brains aren't working. So this is really, we're not doing much education when it comes to that. And it's really important. So I am hoping that the school system picks up, because I don't know how many more months we can afford to pay for all these tutors, but it has been a real wonderful experience. And again, that's what TAFY can do. We don't have any rules and regulations that keep us in a box. So when we see that tutoring is an issue and kids are falling, we can create a program right away that just picks up the slack and just keeps the ball rolling. So there's lots of deficits that we need, and we'll have to sit down and maybe chat about that, because there's a lot of places that we should be able to plug in and help these kids. One thing I have to do a shout out for not a lot, there's about 8 churches that help TAFY, and they're good at bringing food, they're good at bringing clothing and things like that. And we couldn't do it without them. It takes a lot of little pieces, a lot of little people bringing little stuff that creates what we do there. And so even if you've just got a extra loaf of bread and you think, well, that's nothing. Well, that could keep somebody fed for a week, because we'll give them the peanut butter and jelly. So put your bag of bread into a bag and hang it on our doorknob if we're not there. We take every little tiny bit of pieces of stuff and just create it into something bigger. So that's, what it is. Well, we're definitely, why TAFY is unique is because we really limited on paperwork. None of the volunteers have to do any kind of paperwork. We do our basic data of who comes in and what they ask for, but there isn't, at the end of the night, there isn't any tracking. There isn't having to jot anything down, because for us, it doesn't work, and it doesn't make anything. Come in, take care of these, people have to do there. And volunteer. I mean, I do get $3 an hour. I do work 7 days a week, blah, blah, blah. But when we don't have money that has to go out on wages, that allows us to put what little bit of money we do have back into the system. And so I think it costs us about $75,000 this year just to buy. Are we back?
You're back.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know where I went. I'm just sitting here. So anyhow, so it costs about $75,000 last. I do get work 7 days a week. That allows us to put what the system and dollars this year just to buy. Okay. Sorry, I don't know what $75,000 carts that we have. I know when it's getting low, and I have a wonderful volunteer who all he loves to do is give stuff away. So he's the one that fills the bags with the stuff. He likes to come in. Oh, you need this? It gets this, this, and this, and away they go. And what we're doing there with giving them that stuff is they're not stealing from the stores. They're not going and saying, I have a headache or I need some Pepto-Bismol, so they go and slide it into their bag. I take my time to make sure we have all of that stuff that they need. All the first aid they need. They need alcohol, hydrogen peroxide, Pepto-Bismol, Tums, Tylenol, Aleve, allergy medicines, cold tablets. We have it all. We don't, and they're not limited. If they have that bad of a stomach, they need Pepto-Bismol every time they come in, we're going to give it to them. I don't want them stealing stupid stuff. because it is, I mean, it is done, but they don't look good. And they have a lot of health issues, a lot of stomach issues, bad feet problems. Because we go through, just have a lot of issues.
Susan, you're breaking up
Why
again.
we do what we do. Are we lost again?
Yeah, you're breaking up again.
Okay, I'm just sitting here. I'm just sitting here. Okay. Are we?
I'm gonna
Susan.
I turned your video off, so maybe the audio will be a little bit stronger. I think your internet's just being a little weak. So just
Okay.
keep going and let's have the video off for a bit.
All right, will that help?
Should.
It
Okay.
seems better, Susan. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'll have to get a higher cable, right?
Susan,
All
I
right.
have a quick, will you have
Yes.
time for questions when you're
Well,
done?
let's go ahead and just do questions now. I think I probably told you most of what we do, so let's do questions.
So I would like to know how the Sprouting Hope greenhouse works and you know, do some of your clients, your people work in there, and how does it help support TAFY?
Oh, well, it was Wayne's vision to create the greenhouse in order to bring funds to TAFY. So we're the workers. He's a good worker, but he's a thinker and a visionary. So he gives us all the ideas. He teaches us how to do it, how to do the plugs, how to do the plants. And it's all volunteer. The greenhouse is too. So all of the money, and they brought in quite a bit of money last year. We brought in a lot of money. It all goes right back into TAFY, or it goes into another project that Wayne thinks we need to have at the greenhouse. It's like a warm room that we're putting in for $18,000. But community service is usually what helps us out there. Our active addicts are not capable of helping. They're kind of like having a 2-year-old in the kitchen. It just doesn't work. But community service, I know we tracked over 1,346 hours for last year for community service, which is about 20 hours a week that I'm doing babysitting of people who are some very capable and others not so much. But their help, I mean, their hands, and that's what I need. When I am trying to plant 5,000 plugs of flowers, I need hands to do it. And if they can follow the instructions, then they're helping me. And so that's how that does. Wayne wants to continue to grow, to make more flowers and have more shrubs and more trees, because I guess that's what they like to do. But all of the money does come to us. And I think there's about 6 solid volunteers out in the greenhouse. We got a couple of master gardeners that do the gardening part. And Wayne is always at the end of the phone. So any question, he loves to share all of it. Wonderful. So that's what the greenhouse is about.
Thank you. I just have had great experiences when I've gone in there, and it seems to be a good partner.
Good.
Susan, I have a question. Did I hear correctly that you also have a thrift store where you're selling furniture and household goods and things like that?
We used to have the treasure trove, but that shut down last spring, but we still do take furniture because we work with the Oxford houses and we make sure that they have furniture. And then we also can sell it if it's good on consignment, kind of. And if it's not good, we put it out front and give it away. Yeah.
I have a question. We all know that the Matt Clinic is going forward in swim, and I was wondering if you were thinking about developing a relationship for some of your clients with the Matt Clinic, for instance, ferrying them back and forth and that sort of thing.
That would be a rediscovery thing. So,
Oh,
yeah, I would call on them to make sure that they do. But there's a lot of clinics working with the addicts, and we just have to stay on top of making sure everybody's watched, you know. So it's a good idea. What's going on with is a good idea. They need something. They got to get something to keep them from buying the illegal drugs that are killing our people.
Susan, I have a question for you. This is Vivian.
Yes.
I have some clothes that are new that a friend of mine gave me to hand out to employees that were at work and anyone I thought could use them. And a lot of them are brand new. Is there a certain time during the day to drop that off at TAFY? Good quality
Well,
clothing?
Yeah, well, the greenhouse is always open 10 to 2 now. And so you can, if I'm not there, and I'm usually there 7 days a week, unless I'm swimming. Now I've got my back to water aerobics. That's about the only time I leave. But even if we're totally closed, put your clothes into a black garbage bag and throw them over the fence, because you can't, you know, you can just get them in there. However it takes to get them in there. Then if you leave them outside, then one of our clients is going to walk through the alley and ransack it and then just make a mess. But just put it in a bag and put it over the fence. We'll know what it is. It's a special delivery. Yeah,
Thank you, Susan.
Susan, what is your greatest need in terms of keeping going?
Well, just always help with fundraisers. You know, we're not asking for money, but maybe just ways to support when we do have a fundraiser. We had the Christmas dinner that we did, and it was really successful. I'm going to be calling up and selling the baskets, you know, the moss baskets, trying to get people to buy those, and I'll be making at least 265 of those, you know. So instead of one, say you'll take 2 or buy one for neighbors, you know. And you know, I'll tell you what our people need. Our people need mentors. Our young men do not know how to be men. And it doesn't have to be a regular program. You can find a guy who says one time a month he's going to come in for an hour and just sit with these guys. You know, say, let's go for a walk. I mean, they're not going to hurt you. You know, just keep your wallet tight because they will steal from you. But, you know, they just they don't have men. They don't know what they're doing. They don't. And if we're going to change these people around, everybody has to step up. It's not difficult. It really isn't.
Okay. Well, are there any other questions for Susan?
I just want to say thank you, Susan. Part of why we have speakers is to learn from you, to learn about our community. And after what I saw in the Nextdoor app yesterday about a small encampment and people's reaction, we still need a lot of education. So I really appreciate you coming today.
Yeah, and there are people out there that are still, they're stealing camps. They're you know, if you want to steal somebody's garbage, steal their garbage, but leave the sleeping bag in the tent alone. That's expensive. That's costing us, you know, that's $50 easy right there. That, you know, that I shouldn't have to keep replacing because somebody doesn't want to see it. You know, it's just really, seriously, it's not okay. These kids are broken. You know, they got to go somewhere. We have failed them by not having better parenting and better systems that work. This is our bad. This is not their bad. They're a result of what we've done wrong. And so we need to own that and figure out how we can help them. This isn't, it just didn't pop up like a bad weed in the front yard. We fertilized this for years of what we did and didn't do right. And this is kind of, we have to figure it out. And we're smart people. Like I keep telling the city council, you're smart people. How come we don't have bathrooms? Why don't we have trash for the homeless? Why do we not have some simple, basic things? We all deserve it. You know, people are not going to use the yard to go to the bathroom if there's an outhouse somewhere in town. It's just real basic stuff, but somebody doesn't want to figure it out. So we're living with what we're living because we kind of asked for it, and we just got to figure out different answers. So I'm glad that you guys asked me to speak, though. I mean, if you ever have any questions, my phone number is everywhere. Just call me and ask. Or if you have a problem, or if you see something that you can't figure out who to call me, because I am a connector. I know what's out there. I've been 20 years working with all of the different agencies and stuff like that. And so I know who to call and who's not worth your dime, and that's what's sad, because there's a lot of numbers out there that there's nobody at the end. In fact, I will let you know that I tried to call NAMI the other day, which works with mental health, and they are going defunct. There's nobody there at all. The guy called me back, but he said they have nobody to help. And so here we are thinking there's a wonderful mental health program locally, and it's not. So how many other phone numbers are out there that are not working? We have this big long list of phone numbers we get. In reality, probably 2 of them work. So that's what happened to our kids. They're calling all these numbers and nobody's picking up. So we have to figure it out.
Thank you, Susan, and very much appreciated. And I'm sure we'll be seeing you at the greenhouse and around.
Yes. All right. Thank you so very much. Appreciate it.
The start of the 2021 Tuna Challenge for the Port Angeles Food Bank. It's the 27th year. It always seems to run during Lent. And so that meant it started Wednesday, February 17th, and will go until the day after Easter. We fudge a little bit, and it's going to end on April 5th. I apologize for the confusion from last year. With the COVID thing, they told us we were going to take a couple weeks off and lower the curve. And we expected to be back in June, meeting in person. And we all know how that turned out. So this year, my one big goal is to make sure it ends on time. So April 5th, mark that on your calendar. That will be the last day to turn in tuna or donations. And to make it even less confusing, I say this every year, is be sure and report things directly to me, whether you turn them into the food bank, just let me know, because there is a delay from when you turn something in and when I hear about it. That's just the way things work. So when you got lots of volunteers out there, things don't always happen the next day or later on that week. The value of a can of tuna this year is the same as last year. It'll be 66 cents. So if you give me a can of tuna, it's worth 66 cents to the food bank. Or if you give me 66 cents, it's going to count as 1 can of tuna. Our goal this year is to bring in the equivalent of 23,000 cans of tuna. And we always say equivalents because we only get a certain number of cans of tuna, and we can't use 23,000 cans. We probably use about 8,000 a year. And then the question is, what do we do with the rest of that tuna money? And the answer is we buy other healthy proteins with it. So I could call this the protein drive, but that's not as much fun as the traditional tuna drive. So we still call it the tuna drive, even though it's basically healthy protein is what we're looking for. And other proteins that we will get besides tuna are things like fish and seafood, canned salmon, chicken breasts, canned chicken, that kind of thing, lean meats. Not sushi, but lean meats like chicken, lean hamburger, peanut butter. We don't have a community peanut butter drive per se anymore, so we do always need extra peanut butter, low-fat dairy, things like low-fat milk, yogurt, and things like eggs. And every year I'll tell you, the food bank really needs your help. And for some reason this year, we really need your help, really with a capital R. And I justify that by telling you that the usage of the food bank in the last year has gone up 250%, which is quite a dramatic increase. And in comparison to a year ago, we'd see 700 or 800 families per month representing 2,000 people. And in the month of December this year, we saw 2,000 families representing 5,000 to 6,000 people. Of course, we have some extra things going on. We have our 2 days of distribution, Wednesday and Friday at the food bank, but we're also having the Saturday distributions in conjunction not only with the food bank, but the county and other agencies. But that's all individuals needing assistance, meaning there's food insecurity out there. We have this beautiful new to us building, and because of that, we've been able to stockpile some of these relief boxes coming down from the state and federal government. But eventually they're going to run out. In fact, they would have ran out the end of December if we didn't have a building to store them in. So I don't know how much longer those Saturday distributions are going to go on, or if they'll be replaced with something that either new or that we come up with as a community. So far, any questions?
Tim, do we have contact information to let you know when we donate direct to the bank?
Yeah, I've provided your via the snail mail and
Okay,
internet
good.
my
Thank you.
contact information, and if not, other people know where to find me on my email and that sort of thing. So
Okay,
yeah,
Get that emailed out to the club too, again.
and the last thing I want to remind you with is, let's see, the other day I went and saw that other Rotary Club. They are jealous that you have the gold tuna trophy. In fact, I drive by, at least I did, drive by on 8th Street and see it in the window at Pacific Office Equipment, which was always good to see. You could kind of see it through the window. So they're wanting to get that trophy back. I told them don't go up there and try to steal it. But so they do want to meet the challenge of who can get the most tuna trophy or tuna cans. Last year, it was only about just over 300 can difference, which was remarkable. We appreciate the support, and yeah, I hope to have another good year this year. And thank you.